So here's the thing. One of the most common questions I get asked for people that are interested in backpacking is, what is the best gear to buy on the market? Where do they start? How do they begin? What are the most important things about your loadout when backpacking? What do you need? What do you not need? And I feel like I've answered these questions in a lot of videos, and that's where I got a lot of these video ideas. But one of the questions is, I always respond with, and probably my number one response I always ask is, what is your budget? So in today's video, guys, we're going to talk about one of the coolest things I love to answer to. Because sometimes people say, I've got $200, and I'm like, oh no, we're in trouble. I've got $400, okay, we can figure out a plan. I've got $600, I'm like, yeah, we definitely can set you up. And then, $1,000 and on up. It's rare you see those. I'm one of these that's down here less than $500 starting out. I think I probably, in my first backpacking trip, I had $300 worth of gear. But today's video, guys, for the rare answer I get, oh, budget's not an issue. I want to buy once, cry once. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be an easy day. But then at the same time, I'm like, man, there's a lot of great options out there. But today's video, guys, that I'm going to pick some of my favorite gear that I'm excited about to share with you, that I would pick if I started all over again and knew what gear was out there and tested it all, and kind of found that what I've enjoyed the most, what I've talked to a lot of my backpacking friends, what I've studied from other YouTubers, and what I've just found that works well for me. Pretty much everything in this video I already have, and it's hard right now to want to buy anything else because it just works great. So today's video, guys, we're going to pick my ultralight backpacking gear without a budget. All right, so the reason I decided to do it on the big three, or you can say big four, is because these are probably the most expensive parts of your gear loadout. Now, clothing can get pretty up there. Maybe we'll do a video later talking about that, but these are the most essential things that probably are the most important as far as weight on you and what you have to carry with you. So I decided to stick with the big three for this video. So of course, you break it down into three major things. One is your sleep system, one is your shelter, and then third is your pack or your backpack or how you're carrying everything. Now, I like to keep the backpack as your last thing because based on how big and bulky your sleep system is, how big and bulky your shelter is going to decide how many liters your pack's going to need to be and just the overall size of it. So we are going to start first with the sleep system, then we're going to go to the shelter, and then the final thing will be the pack. Okay, so sleep system. So sleep system can be technically three different parts. One be your pad, then be your quilt or sleeping bag, and then pillow if you use one. In this video, I'm really gonna keep pillow out of it. Pillows overall are not that expensive. It honestly just comes down to preference. I use a Trakeology pillow just for you, Dave. And today we're gonna keep it just to pad and to the quilt or sleeping bag. And yeah, let's start with the pad. Now, I know that this piece of gear has been on the channel a really long time. I've just hard to let this one go. I did a video recently about another pad I've been using, and I still do, but this is one that if I'd start over again, I would definitely buy, and that would be the Nemo Tensor Insulated. Now, there's a newer version out than mine, and it's like a 4.3 R value, and I think this pad is actually 22 ounces, or it's 1 pound and 6 ounces. So one thing that I would change about mine, honestly, there's nothing wrong with it, is I would go to the wide version, and that's what this version I've weighted at would be, is the regular wide, and it's the square one. I just like that better than the mommy ones. But anyways, this one is perfect for, I've taken it down to 25 to 30 degrees. It's really about how hot you sleep or how cold you sleep. So that pad runs around 22 ounces and is about $165 right now. Now, the second part of this is your quilt or sleeping bag. Now, if you like sleeping bags, that's your thing. I understand, I've talked about this before, but it is really hard to get a sleeping bag down to the weight of a quilt. Now, there is some very expensive sleeping bags out there that would get you there, but quilts are just easier to get there, and they've come a long way, and they're just solid options as far as keeping warm. Now, one I've always talked about, one I've always praised, and one I would buy right over again and probably will again in the future is the Enlighten Equipment Revelation quilt. Now, I would say an overall option would be the 30 degree because it sets me up for a lot of weather, especially here in the South. Now, if you're out west, I'd probably drop it down to at least a 20 degree. But the 30 degree is a great option. It's right around 19 ounces. And it only is it's $325 standard. You can get some really good sales on those. But yeah, that is an awesome quilt. It's been great. I would recommend the regular wide. That's what I would buy over again. And just because if you're not in a hammock, you definitely want that extra width around you. That way when you're turning over back and forth, it doesn't become an issue as far as it causing a draft up under you. So for my sleep system, I would use the Nemo Tensor wide, regular wide, 25-inch pad, and then I would use the Enlighten Equipment Revelation quilt, probably the 30 degree. So we talked about sleep system, and as I already discussed in the beginning of this, you want to make sure that you leave your pack for your last thing. That way when you got your sleep system and your tent or shelter, you already know how much like backpack room you're gonna need. So the second thing on my list would be my shelter or tent. Now, I know there's a lot of fanboys of a lot of brands out there, and I get it. And, you know, you found something that works well for you, you understand it, you understand the brand. It might be something that's made here in the US, or it might be a foreign brand, but you enjoy it, you like it, and you want to stick to it. So I'm going to jump on the biggest bandwagon there is, because there is a reason for that bandwagon, and it's just a solid tent. And I have one, and I've loved it, and I've taken on multiple trips. There's a couple cons that I'm planning on talking about in a future video coming up. There's a couple cons of things I don't enjoy, but it's just a great tent. I'm wondering if you're just thinking right now, what tent is it? I bet you I know. And it's not the Z-Pax Duplex, because that is a solid tent. I know it's a very popular tent, and I know a lot of thru hikers use it, and a lot of non-thru hikers use it. It's a super light tent, but anyways, I'm rambling on about the Duplex, and I think they even updated it recently to copy this tent a little more, hint, hint. So yes, I am talking about the Durston X-Mid. This is just an awesome tent. I don't know what to tell you guys. I did a video on it when I got it. I knew there was a ton of craze, and I finally just caved in and got one, and I get it. It's a great tent all around. You can't beat it for the weight. I think the new one, the 2024 model, is now 18 ounces, which is wild. It's coming in at like around, I think it's like $650, something like that. $654 to be exact. And I think they even did a couple more upgrades since mine. Now you can even get a DCF tub in it, or bottom of it. And I think they added even more magnets and maybe a couple other little things, and it's even lighter. Supposedly, yeah, I think it is a little bit cheaper. I think I paid $6.99 for mine. Anyways, that would be the shelter I would buy without a budget. It's great. I love it. Probably the main con I'd say right away right now is that it is one huge of a footprint when you're trying to figure out somewhere to put that thing. It takes up a lot of room, but man, you have a ton of room in it. And for 18 ounces, I mean, how can you go wrong with 18 ounces? Once you kind of get the learning curve for how to pitch it, it pitches easy, and I love that tent. Now, if you're like, well, I don't want a Dyneema tent, I'm kind of more of a, I guess, 4-season or more durable for like just being, I don't know, Dyneema is so durable, it's hard to even say it. There is some other options if you want some sil poly or nylon poly. I get all those names mixed up. Anyways, there is like the Nemo tents. I have a Nemo tent. I love that tent. I rarely ever use it anymore. That's a good tent. And then also, not to mention the Gossamer Gear tents. I had one of those too. Love that tent. I did a video on it a couple years ago. Those are great other options. You got other companies like Tarp Tent. MSR makes a great tent. But yes, mine would be the Durston X-Mid 2 Pro. I love that tent. That would be my no budget. I'm gonna buy that Dyneema tent. All right, last but not least, probably one of my favorite things to talk about is my pack. Now, the pack is one of the most important things you need to carry all your gear, to be comfortable, to keep your weight down, and to be durable, but also not wrench your shoulders or your back, and also be fitted properly. I know there's a whole lot of things I said in like 30 seconds, but it's just important anyways. So guys, there is a lot of great packs out there. I would recommend a lot of great packs. I ain't gonna lie, another big company, just like I talked about with the shelters, the Z-Pax packs, they are some really good packs. I love their Ultra pack I have. And I love that pack. I'll probably be using it all this winter like I did last winter, and I already started to. But yeah, so anyways, that is not going to be my pack of choice for my unlimited budget. It is going to be the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Southwest. I have praised this pack to many of people. Yes, I know it's expensive. It's a full Dyneema pack coming in right around 30 ounces. And I think they go for like $350, so you can definitely get some sales on it. I've got a link below to get 15% off. No shame plug there. But anyways, just to kind of help you save some money if you are really interested in one. I have the white version. I think that the black versions are more heavier. I think it's a little bit heavier Dyneema, but mine is the 3400, or now is technically the 50 liter. I just now realized they changed it to the actual liter vase, which helps a lot of people understand it better. But yes, the Southwest 50 is the one in between. They have a 40, a 50, and a 60/70. The 50 is just perfect. I could honestly rock that thing year round if I could pack my gear correctly. It is super durable, super strong. Yes, it's a little bit heavier than some of the other packs out there, but dang, it can handle a lot of weight. I have easily put up 35 pounds in mine multiple times and just ready to go always. I'd be a little bit nervous to do that in my 1 pound packs, but in this pack, it's just solid. And you just can't go wrong with it. Now, I know that there's a lot of other packs out there, not just these two companies I've mentioned. I know that they're, for new guys out there, Osprey is what everybody talks about. Now, I'm not gonna say too much about them. Now, at the end of this video, when you hear the total weight of everything I just mentioned today, I think it might make you reconsider about the Osprey, so make sure you stick here forward to hear that. So anyways, yes, the Hyperlight mountain gear packs, all of them, but the Southwest is particularly my favorite. That would definitely be my pack of choice. Okay guys, so I just wanted to say this real quick before we wrap this video up at the end, is that my total weight with all of this gear would be roughly 5.6 pounds or about 90 ounces. 5.6 pounds for your big three, that's way under 10 pounds, and that's always seems to be the best goal to go for. I don't think you could be anything more than that. Yes, there's a couple options you could cut even more, but 5.6 pounds is pretty freaking great. I know there's some ultralight kings out there who would say you could definitely drop even more, but honestly, 5.6 pounds, I'm gonna say it again. So yeah, that is a great weight and definitely gonna be, you know, roughly $1,500. I'll put the exact amount on the screen. But yeah, it's not too bad. You can definitely spend even more money, and you are gonna spend more money when you buy everything else for your loadout. But these are the most pricey things I would say for your backpacking gear. Well guys, that's it. That is my budget-free big three. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, and if you really want to discuss this even more, leave me in the comments what would be your budget-free big three. I would really love to know what you're thinking about, what you would love to buy if you didn't have to worry about a budget. I'm right there with you. I can't buy everything I want at the same time. I have to save for it and then get it as I go along. But anyways, leave that in the comments. I honestly would love to do another follow-up video where we discuss everybody else's and what they think is the best thing that they would buy if they had no budget. And maybe there's some things in there I don't know about, because I'd love to learn about them, and I would just enjoy if you put that in the comments. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, we appreciate your support, and we will see you soon.